My first Halo game was Combat Evolved for the PC. I remember I was still young at the time, and I went to my cousin's place, and he showed me this cool new game he had. I thought it looked colorful, it looked exciting, it had sci-fi super soldiers battling it out. The maps were large and impressive, the scale was cool, the weapons were awesome. The game just seemingly drew me in, and while I didn't play it for that long of a time, really only that one visit, that memory etched itself into my memory, all the way to now. Years would go by, and then one day, in 2009, I managed to get an Xbox 360, and on that day, I got a used copy even, of Halo 3. That same cousin had shown me machinima and meme songs for Halo 3, and I knew I had to play that game. So the Xbox gets set up, I put the disc in, and I boot up the game. And then you hit the main menu, and God, the Halo 3 main menu theme. It had no right being that good, it being that iconic. And I remember the first thing I did was actually went into a game of matchmaking and asked some random dude who was in the lobby if he could hear me because I wanted to make sure my microphone worked. I barely talked online, I never did that. It was funnily enough, one of the first times I did. And I still remember what they said. Yeah, I can hear you. Simple, right? But it was the first real online interaction I had. Just in an Xbox lobby. Back out, go to the campaign, I boot up the main mission. Started out, I'm like, oh my god, this place looks gorgeous. What a beautiful game. Oh my god, you can move the plants as well? Goated. And from that moment on, I became a Halo kid. Halo 3 became my game. I played it for hours and hours as I caught up to the rest of my friend group who had been playing for years, and I caught up to them reasonably quickly as well, shockingly quickly at that. And as I played more and more, my skill set also grew, until I became known amongst my friend group as probably the best in there. It even got to the point where I would 1v6 them just for the lulz. And I still remember those matches where I absolutely clobbered them, like 24-3, or 24-6 maybe. And there was this one moment I remember. It was on Construct, right? And they all decided to try and make sure they could get me. They all huddled around the energy sword because it was very high up. It was out in this singular catwalk where I would be forced out in the open and I couldn't hit them with a surprise attack. So I remember hearing them all on comms going like, shh, shh, oh, we got him now, we got him now. Like all huddled together in one tight-knit little cluster. So me being the little player, I turn the corner and I chuck a plasma grenade, stick one of them, and you see a couple of them just like jump off the side to try and escape it. As the grenade goes off, absolutely wrecks them and I clean up the rest. It was hilarious. It's moments like that that stuck in my mind. And then we went to Halo Reach, and I remember when Halo Reach came out. I booted the game up to the main menu, but I went to go do my homework first, so I could just listen to the main menu theme as I did the homework. And I banged that homework out, and I got into the game, and I beat that campaign within a week. God, it was so good. Getting into space for the first time as well, I'd spend hours upon hours with my buddies in Forge mode, just playing various custom games, or making our own maps in Forge World. We grinded out various pieces of armor in the multiplayer, or we did co-op campaign. And I remember reading Game Informer magazines at the time, in anticipation for Halo 4, the return of Master Chief, an all-new studio, 343 Industries, taking Halo under its wing, to the future. Sure, it looked a little bit different, but I was cool with it. I just wanted more Halo. The game comes out, and I play the campaign, I'm like, ooh, wait a minute. This is clicking with me. Sure, the Prometheans suck eggs, but I'm really liking what they're doing with Chief and Cortana here. And then the ending. The ending! Few games have had a scene that is able to evoke as much emotion out of me as the ending of Halo 4 did. Watching John, Master Chief, lose Cortana, two characters I'd spent hours with, hell, years with. The cinematography, the dialogue, the voice acting. Who was the man, who was the machine? God, it was good. And I always felt like I was in the minority in terms of my love for Halo 4's campaign. It absolutely has its faults, but again, its strengths really resonated with me. Played some Halo 4 multiplayer with some, really, the one or two remaining friends who actually played Halo. And it was enjoyable enough. Wasn't up to its glory days of 3 and Reach, but it was enjoyable enough, had a decent enough time. But then Halo 5 would come out. A couple friends came back in anticipation of all these new exciting features with Halo 5. This whole new game mode as well. It looked cool. and able to build up resources and spend them to get power weapons or vehicles in these large engagements. It looked cool, and I remember just laughing away nights as we played various modes of Halo 5 together. Sure, the campaign sucked and I hated it, but just having another Halo experience with my buddies made it all worth it. Was I a fan of the gameplay loop of Halo 5? Not really, but again, it was at least palatable for me. But even then, my friends lost interest in the game. I'd try and come back and relive those old glory days of Halo 5 later on with all the updates they did, and sure, I kind of found those updates impressive, but the underlying issues I had with Halo 5 and its overall core gameplay loop always remained a sticking point for me. It just never felt like Halo. Years would go by, being teased with a game called Halo Infinite. A return to form, Chief looks cooler, and he's back, better than ever. He looks awesome, this world looks beautiful and amazing. It's going to next generation consoles, people. Let's go. Oh wait, Halo Infinite's coming to PC as well? Oh, that's hype as hell. So Halo Infinite comes out. Campaign has its issues, but it's better than Halo 5, and I enjoyed it enough. Open world was pretty fun for a bit. I still have significant issues with it, but it's a step in the right direction. I'm happy about the campaign overall. And I play multiplayer, and I'm like, dang, something's missing here. It was fun for a couple of days, but it quickly drained on me. It quickly just, all the hype and excitement I've built up over 5 years of waiting for the next Halo title to reclaim its throne as one of my favorite franchises in gaming, after whatever the hell Halo 5 turned out to be, just never managed to stay. That hype just faded away, dissipated. I tried replaying the campaign a couple of times, and its flaws became more apparent to me, but its strengths were still there. Chief, the new Pelican pilot weapon, cool characters. But in terms of story, in terms of overall narrative, the damage had kind of been done from Halo 5, where a lot of the aspects of the story that I really enjoyed were just no longer there. Irrevocable damage had been done to the story of a franchise that I truly cherished for years of my life. And while I managed to enjoy Halo Infinite enough, it just wasn't the same as it used to be. The gameplay loop was pretty fun, but then the multiplayer just never had that appeal that Halo 3s and Halo 4s and heck even Halo 5s to a time had for me as well. Not to mention Halo Combat Evolved. Not even Halo Combat Evolved, Halo Master Chief Collection. God, I was so excited for that game, and half the time I couldn't even make it to work to play with my friend. Literally, half of our play sessions we had to cancel just because the game wouldn't load for us. Either Xbox Live would have issues, or the game itself just would not load. So either we would just have to log off for the night or just go play Minecraft or something. It was disappointing, but eventually it patched out. We managed to go back and relive those old glory days, going through each of the Halo campaigns, playing through them on co-op, on Legendary, just for the bragging rights of it all. We spent like a year and a half trying to juggle between our two schedules, just trying to beat Halo 2 on Legendary and co-op. That was a Herculean feat for us, because every time one of us made the slightest mistake, we would die and we'd be forced to go back to the checkpoint. It was rough, it was hard, but it was still Halo, it was still fun. Master Chief Collection allowed us to relive those glory days, but with Halo Infinite, a lot of the wind had just been taken out of the sail, because the multiplayer was a fragment of what it used to be. All those days just grinding out multiplayer maps and playing all those games to grab some kind of cosmetic progression that we ourselves chose to pursue and wanted, to customize our spawn so that we could look at each other and see the fruits of our journey, was just gone, sacrificed even, on the altar of monetization. All those game modes and custom games and Forge that gave us hours and hours of replayability and options, so when we went into Halo, we could choose what to do. It wasn't just any one thing. That was gone. Forge got added fairly recently, and it's pretty freaking sweet, but it was a little too late. It was just too late. There wasn't any one singular moment for me that drained and dwindled my love for a series that once was my favorite franchise of all time. It wasn't any one singular moment. It was a series of small fractures and breaks and tears and rips within that fabric that over time culminated into just shards of fabric that once constituted Halo. And as I stare at those broken, torn, battered pieces of a franchise that I once loved, seeing a franchise that needs to desperately struggle and claw its way back to the realms of success that it once had, I just see trip up after trip up, mess up after mess up. Too little, too late. And I'm a firm believer that it's never too late, right? If you put out a good product, and you have a recognizable name like Halo, people will come back to it, especially now that the multiplayer itself is free to play. People will come back if the game itself is good enough, if word of mouth is able to travel. But every piece of news I see come out of Halo Infinite is almost always just a negative sign. Modern Halo is a symptom of modern multiplayer video game philosophy that relies on player retention, that relies on monetization at the expense of the overall experience. One hand taketh, the other taketh away. With free-to-play came other forms of monetization that ripped the very soul of the progression system out of Halo. That ruined a lot of the motivation I had to play. You couple that with lackluster map variety, subpar playlist selections, and while the button presses were satisfying themselves, the feeling the game used to elicit, making you want to come in each and every day to play some more Halo, to work towards something, where you would log off for the day thinking about what you wanted to do the next day, or the next time you could play, what you wanted to work for, what you wanted to strive to achieve. That no longer exists in Halo for me. It's gone. Story-wise and multiplayer-wise. I will always cherish the games that have come. Halo Combat Evolved, Halo 2, Halo 3, Halo Reach, there will always be 4 of my favorite games of all time. I love those games, and I have many great memories associated with those games. Hell, I still have some good memories with Halo 4 and 5, despite my issues with them. And hell, I think Halo Infinite had some really good ideas to it. I definitely do believe that. But especially with Halo in these recent years, there's always been something. Whenever I hear anything good, I always have to ask the question, okay, but what's the catch? And I had to do that same line of thinking with World of Warcraft. And that's one of the reasons I eventually stepped away from that game, is because I got tired of asking, okay, but what's the catch? Will Halo eventually reclaim its former glory? Will it eventually be a game I can log in every day and be happy to play? I can't answer that, because I don't know. Anything's possible with the future. It is. The direction of the series up to this point, and it has been going on for about the last decade, has not inspired optimism. It has inspired pessimism for me. And I don't like to be pessimistic. Whenever a series starts to turn me into a pessimist about its future as a whole, I tend to move on to a series where I become optimistic again. Because that's the mind space I prefer to be. I prefer to be a fan of a series where I know, hey, I trust this series to put out consistently quality experiences where I know I'm going to have a good time. I can't do that with Halo. I can't think like that with Halo anymore. Maybe they'll prove at one point in time in the future, we're back. I haven't seen that yet. Because whenever they take a step in the right direction, it always comes back to the question of, but what's the catch? When we had to wait this long just for co-op campaign, a feature that had been the cornerstone of so many of my favorite experiences and memories with Halo. We had to wait so long, with Halo 5 is included for Forge Mode, something that becomes staple for the Halo experience from Halo 3 onwards, that inspired so much community interaction and communication surrounding Halo as a franchise. When the soul of the game no longer feels like it's present, when it feels like it's just the bare minimum, that doesn't inspire optimism about the future. I will always love Halo. I always will. And I always probably say that I'm a fan of Halo. And I genuinely hope that the series in the future is able to put out consistently good, high-quality experiences once again. But we have not reached that time yet. Maybe we will, but we haven't reached it yet. So I'm going to call the video there for the day. If you enjoyed it, please leave a like and subscribe. It really helps the channel out and helps support future content, and I greatly appreciate it. Leave a comment down below with your experiences with Halo. What was your first Halo game? Did you stop playing? When did you stop playing? Do you still play? Let me know. I'd love to hear your thoughts and hear your opinions. And do you still play Halo Infinite? Let me know. I'd love to hear your thoughts and how you're enjoying the game. Because we're all allowed to have our opinions, and your opinions may be drastically different from mine, and that's okay. That's fine. That's one of the beautiful things about the internet, is that we can have all these varied opinions and these varied perspectives, and no one can change that. These were mine. This is my story for Halo. But what's yours? I'd love to hear it. So stay safe, everybody. Have a great day. Go play some video games. And I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye, everybody.